Good morning. Hopefully everybody not here is cooking turkeys or pies or something right for lunch. I just said to Janet, I pray we have enough food, because I know when you got food, people show up. So I hope you all plan on coming for lunch today. We're going to play a quick little video, and then we have an action-packed sales meeting here, so we're excited to get this thing going. Steve Harvey.
Every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. Now, I'll tell you why I call it jumping. See, God, when he created all of us, he gave every last one of us a gift at birth. He never created a soul without endowing them with a gift. You just gotta quit looking at gifts as running, jumping, sing, and dance. It's more than that. It's if you know how to network, if you can connect dots, if you draw, if you teach. Some of y'all fry chicken better than anybody else, bake pie. Some of you cut hair, color hair. Some people do grass. I got a partner, man, never wanted to go out with us because we stayed out too late. Come on, man, go out with me. Now I gotta get up early morning, cutting Miss Johnson grass. We kept laughing at this dude, cutting grass. How much they pay you? He got a landscaping company in Cleveland worth $4 million. Because all he do is cut grass, but he was gifted at it. I got a partner on a detail shop, make $800,000 a year detailing cars. He got 6 mobile trucks running around. $800,000 a year. All he do is detail cars. That's his gift. That's what he loved to do. You've got to identify that gift. Now listen to me. When you see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your Bible says your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, they ain't even using it. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're gonna just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you gotta jump. And here's the problem. I'm gonna just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. You're gonna hit them rocks. You're gonna get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're gonna get all your clothes tore off. You're gonna get some cuts on you. You're gonna be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. That ain't a theory, that's a promise. His promises is true, because listen to me. You cannot name one single thing God has not gotten you through. Name it. And if he ain't got you through it, he currently pulling you through it right now. And the living proof of it is you sitting in here. If he hadn't got you through it, you wouldn't even be here. So if he ain't never not got you through it, why would he not let your parachute open? It has to open, man. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has for you. See, your God has a wonderful life for you. Once again, I'm going to refer to your Bible. Now, you go down there, you memorize these scriptures, you don't apply them to yourself. Your Bible says that he comes to give you life and give you life more abundantly. If I were you, I would jump, because that's the only way to get to that abundant life. You got to jump, man. You got to take a chance. Now, when I get through talking, there are those of you that discuss this in the car. Well, I got bills, and I got bills. Whether you stay on the cliff or you jump, you're gonna have bills. Well, if I quit my job, I'm gonna ruin my credit. If you got a job, you living check to check. Even if you got A1 credit, you can't buy nothing else no damn way. At one point in time, man, do yourself a favor. Go see what God really do. God hold you up, man. He ain't gonna let you fall. He ain't bring you this far to let you fall. Do yourself a favor, man. Before you leave this world, before you die, jump. Just jump one time. Just jump. Thank you very much.
One more time!
Who attended Heather's class? Show of hands. I've had a lot of people attend that said they would attend it again next year, because we always bring back different speakers, but it's always about getting you out of your comfort zone, about getting you to jump, to do things that you need to be doing that's going to help you be more successful in life. And I know, I'm a Christian, so I believe in God. That the God part's probably too much for some of you, but if there's good messages, we're going to show things, whether it's religious or not, and so we're not doing that to offend you, but we think there's a great message in this. So, guys, we're going to have Thanksgiving down in the garage starting at 11:30. Is that right?
Yes.
Is it not 11:30?
No. The serving line starts at 11:30, then prayers at noon.
Okay, so starting 11:30, prayer at noon. So hopefully you're going to come, get everyone on your team to come. It's going to be a great time, guys. So we're going to have a lot of good things. I know ATS was supposed to come up and make a couple quick announcements. Melanie, are you in the house somewhere? And I ignored you last time, so I'm going to let you start the day off here, and then we're going to start running into things, guys.
Okay, so we'll keep this brief. With Ambassador Title, just wanted to let you guys know that there's a slight increase in pricing, $10 per side, so keep that in check. During Heather's class over the last 6 weeks, I was sitting next to one of the realtors, just talking about stuff going on, and she said, you need to let everybody know what ATS is all about, because I was talking about how flexible we are with closing times and things like that. In the last month, we have had probably 5 Saturday closings. Quite a few of those were the long weekend, Columbus Day, or whatever holiday we had. The buyers still wanted to get in, the sellers wanted to sell. So we were open on Saturday just for you guys. We've done 8:30 p.m. closings, 5 a.m. closings. So when you guys have that last minute change up, that TRID addendum that all of a sudden the addendum came in on Wednesday and now you're not closing on Friday, we will still get them in on Saturday. You just have to ask. But with that, make sure you're starting with the right title company. We're here for you. So I was also on the OABR Affiliates Turkey Bowl Committee, and this is the second year in a row that we beat the Nebraska Pass the Hat, and it was pretty amazing what we raised. I think it was like almost 12 or 15,000 or something like that. So thank you for everybody that participated with the Turkey Bowl. And anything else? That's it. We wanted to keep it short and sweet, but we are here for you. Keep us in mind with any of your transactions.
Thank you. Scott, I'm going to let you talk about, I know we've put it on the Facebook page, we've sent out an email about this new NAR rule that I've had a whole lot of questions about, really talking about the coming soon and the pocket listings. Could you address that?
So the entire point of this rule is basically for marketing. I think the competitor is actually a company called Compass, because Compass has gone into a lot of the kind of the top markets, and they have created their own website that said these listings are only on Compass's website. And of course, point is to create in-house sales. And so this has bothered a bunch of people across the country, and they decided that they needed to do something about this. And so the new rule at its base is basically, look, if you're going to market a property, you've got to market it on the MLS as well as anywhere else you do. And that means for postcards sent to other brokerages, that's emails, that is Facebook posts, that's Zillow. If you're going to market it, they say under the new rule that will be implemented in March, that it has to go into the MLS open up on the MLS as well. And
It's not at the time of listing, at the
Nope.
time of marketing.
Right. So basically, you can, and we're going to have to work this out, right? Vince is on the MLS, the OABR's MLS commission. That's what the discussion is going to be, because as you know, we already have a coming soon rule, and so coming soon is still okay under this rule. But if you want to market it, you can't put it in Zillow. You can't put it anywhere else. You've got to put it on the MLS when you do that. And the rule says within 24 hours of you marketing it. Now, there is a exception for pocket listings, and the exception for pocket listings is brokerage specific. We can market any pocket listing we want within our own brokerage. So we can send emails around to a captive audience, which is our brokerage. We can send things in our Facebook group posts. We just can't send things outside of the bounds of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Master Real Estate. And so that's what the rule is. And so I know, there's whatever your view on it is, whether you like it or don't like it, that's kind of the whole point of this, which is, hey, we're all part of the National Association of Realtors. We all have to belong to an MLS to be a realtor. And if we're going to do that, then we have to use the MLS. That's at the base of the whole point behind this rule, which is you shouldn't be marketing things on Zillow but not opening up within the MLS rules. And that's the point.
Go ahead.
Question.
Yes.
Okay. If you list something just for the company for
Okay.
a period of time,
So if you list something just for the company for a period of time,
what wording do you need to put into the listing?
So you're saying it's a pocket listing? Is that what
If
you're?
it's a pocket listing, if it's just for Berkshire Hathaway, what wording do you need to put in the listing?
So you know how in our MLS rules as it currently is, when we do it, we basically have options, right? The option A is we're going to put it out there. B is that we're going to withhold it for a while, and then C, we're going to waive out of it. That's where the change is going to be at our local rule. We're going to have to do something with what I think is C within those rules that say, that we can't waive out of it, but, we can't waive out of it out completely and then mark it around. It's going to be, we'll hold on to it as a coming soon for a period of time. We'll market it internally if we want to. And then once we decide we want to go live, so to speak, on Zillow, Facebook, then we'll have to put it in the MLS. So that'll be a local rule that we'll have to concern ourselves with. Gail?
Okay, so on Coming Soon,
Yes.
on the Coming Soon, you can market it as an e-card?
No.
You can't. So if you were going to market it in any way, then you'd have to put it in the MLS. It'd have to go live in the MLS.
Can you stick your sign out there?
Yes.
That's it.
Right, but that's as a coming soon listing. You couldn't advertise it anywhere else. I think that.
So the
would be
question is, can you put it? These guys are all arguing with us up here already. We didn't even make the damn rule.
We didn't vote for it or against it. We didn't do it. Yeah.
So the
This
question is,
just
can you
rule.
put a sign up? The answer is yes. The point's been brought up to me by more than one person is that, is this really in the best interest of the consumer to not be able to market a pocket listing to everybody? That the consumer, for whatever reason, Deb, you've had hundreds of pocket listings over the years, is saying, I don't want a sign in the yard, I don't want it in MLS, but I'd like to get my property sold, right? And so, why I don't think it's necessarily best for the consumer in that stance, if anybody's going to do a pocket listing, if the agent truly explains it to the consumer, we're about the only company you would do a pocket listing at, because all the rest of them don't have enough market share that they can only market to at tops 12.5%. I think Dodge might have 13% market share. So you're not going to have anyone else. We're sitting at 40% market share. We're larger than the next four brokers combined. So doing a pocket listing at any other company is clearly not in the best interest of the consumer. Would it be better if we could market to everybody? It would. Now, my understanding, Scott, tell me if I misunderstood you on this, is
I misunderstood myself. Go ahead.
that someone has a pocket listing. We can put it on our Facebook page internally. We can
Right.
send out a mass email to all of our agents,
Right.
okay? So we know we can cover ourselves. But if they had a listing in Fair Acres and they wanted to call Jeff French, you said they could do one-offs where they can make one-off calls. They just couldn't send an email to the entire Dodge company.
So
or
I
to
would,
the
say
entire,
that, I would say that would violate the spirit of the rule, but not the rule. Because,
well,
you
we're not worried about spirits. We're worried about rules right now.
Right. The whole point is right to shut this down so you can't do that. But they can't stop you from making a call to Jeff French and saying, "Hey, I've got a Fair Acres house for $2 million that's going to come on in a couple of weeks. Do you want to, get a look at it?" Gail?
Okay, on coming soon.
Because again, remember, at the end of the day, a buyer or a seller can take any offer they want at any time.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because someone from another company hears you have a listing, they want to see it, they want to write an offer.
Right.
There's nothing preventing that from happening.
Stop you from doing it.
Okay.
Okay, on coming soon, you have
Yes.
your sign in the yard, and
Right.
you get a phone call.
Right.
What information are you allowed to give?
That's a good question. Well, we'll have to figure that out. We're not there yet.
Well, so remember, a lot of the rules.
Gail, again, we didn't do this.
Gail needs to sit in the back next time.
We just showed up.
Todd, will you switch seats with Gail right now?
Who wants to ask less questions? Bring them up.
I had a thought that I totally forgot.
This is
As of March, yes.
Yeah,
This is
so
not as of today.
So January 1st.
We will have these things figured out by March, Gail. No, put your hand down.
So basically, they're giving us 3 months to figure that out.
How does this affect the no-show category of putting it in MLS with
So,
no-show?
Scott, that is a great question.
Boy, is he an attorney? Or a counselor? I'm not sure which.
We've got January and we got February and most of March to figure all that out.
So, guys, one thing that this does not affect us as much as it affects a lot of other states, for the reason we already had at the Real Estate Commission some rules in place about coming soons, right? The rules put in place last year about coming soons is if you have a property that's a coming soon, we signed the waiver form at the MLS level, right? That at that point in time, you can have that coming soon, but the second that you would show the property to anybody, it would then have to be showed to everybody that would want to see it. So we already had some rules in place that other states did not have that this thing does address. So part of this thing is figured out because of rules we've had in effect prior to this point in time.
And there's states have already had this rule that haven't allowed coming soons or waiving out of the MLS too. Okay.
I just read that it is coming due in May of 2020.
March is when they said it was supposed to be implemented.
So we
So do it the way you're doing it now.
do it the way you're doing it now.
Nothing's changed until it's changed.
Just do what you want. Come and ask us, and we'll tell you if you're in trouble or not.
Hey, someone out there's going to have to get fined. Might as well be one of you.
So
Let's figure it out.
We've got a panel. We've got a panel. Scott, sit down. No more questions on this subject. Grab us later. I don't know if we have time. I'll get it to the end, but I want everyone to be thinking. We've been talking about it in all of our mastermind groups. We've had more deals falling apart. I've talked about this in a couple sales meetings at the home inspection time than we ever have before. So once a year, which should be coming up pretty soon, we get together on the uniform purchase agreement. I want to talk about, and we've had the vast majority of people saying they'd like some changes to option C. I'd like to get some feedback. I don't think we're going to have the time to have that debate here. We're going to continue to have it in masterminds. Maybe the next sales meeting we'll do it, which we'll have an opportunity to have a sales meeting before that. But how do we change option C? Verbiage has been floated out there. I know Tasha and her team uses verbiage countering back, saying that, listen, option C is only can only be asked for major defects, and only can the buyer get out of it in the event that the seller, and safety, major defects and safety things are latent defects, I'm not sure which verbiage was, and only in the event the seller is unwilling or unable to get out of it. So I see head shaking yes and no all at the same time here. So that's why I don't want to get into debate right this second at this, but we're gonna talk about these type of things. We want deals to stay together. We want to make sure if we're the buyer's agent, we represent the buyer properly. We want to make sure if we're the listing agent, we represent the seller properly. But the world's changing as things are changing. We want to make sure we're changing with it. I think we've got enough pull on a uniform purchase agreement to change parts of it if we'd like to. So we're going to maybe shoot some email questions out to you guys to have you guys shoot your thoughts back to us. Start compiling that, but we've already talked about this in 7 or 8 mastermind groups. So I'm getting a pretty good feel of where we're at on this thing, and people have even switched their mind a little bit as we've talked about it and further explained it. So let's get into really what we're here for today is the second half of speakers of Heather's class. Deb, Megan, and Ryan, will you please all three come up? Do we have microphones for all of them?
Yep.
Brooke, do you think you can read this? It's so small. I struggle to read this. Heather's thoughts? Scott, you're a good reader. You're an attorney. You want to give Scott a mic? We're going to start this off with, it is such small print, even with my cheaters, I'm squinting my eyes. This is getting old. It's not good, let me tell you. So these are Heather's thoughts. Heather is in Mexico for a week. She left the class, went home, and I haven't seen her since. I don't know if she's coming back or not. But I'm going to let Scott read her thoughts. She had kind of a quick little thought on top takeaways of each one of the people and getting out of your comfort zone. Scott, can you read it? Do you need my cheaters?
No. This will be a dramatic reading. My biggest takeaways from my class were you must write down your goals, or it's only a dream. That's the most important, Jesus.
See, Brooke, you're not that bad of a reader.
that most successful people do vision boards, and you must have a why. I love Ralph's outlook on the seller signing as their celebration. TJ and Mamie always keeping their bucket full. Deb speaking about how she works hard for her clients. If there aren't listing on the MLS that fit their needs, she prospects to find homes that do by calling or knocking on doors of homes that would fit. Next time I'd like to swipe at this before she writes it. I loved Marie, how she has a theme for each day of the week. Megan and Ryan had a great point in having a system in place and scheduling your day. Megan spoke about how she is religious about her activities. I like the saying, have you eaten your frog today? Get the hard calls and activities out of the way. Personally, someone who's in Mexico drinking. Personally, taking yourself out of the comfort zone is the best way to grow. I've learned this. As much as I hate it, I've loved it the most. All right. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Heather always moans and groans the month leading up to this class, but when she's done with it, she always says, I really do see the value in this. Is Jay Brown in the house? He's in the house, but he's upstairs in the house? Okay. Jay's going to be doing this next year. I told Heather we're going to give her a break. Jay did this for 4 or 5 years, so there'll be even a little different twist on Jay doing it next year. But this is a great class to really keep you busy in these times as the market starts slowing down. So these were our last 3 panels, and then Marie Otis's print I actually can read. See, we printed that big. But I'm going to ask, do you want me to put that chair up for you, Megan? Can you guys see Megan in the back? The people in the back, the short people in the back can't even see you. She lowered it. She wants it that way. I'm sorry. Before I dive into asking each one of you guys what were the main points and that you were trying to get across in the message, I think it's important, and I heard this at a summit once, Deb, I think you were even with me part of this conversation, that there was an agent there that was a younger agent to the business, and there was all these crazy top producers there, and they were talking about what they were doing today. And the newer agent said, that's great, but I'm not there. What did they do in the beginning? What did they do in that process to grow from where they started to where they are today? And so I would like to ask each one of you, probably unprepared at this point, but to look back and not what are you necessarily doing today, but what were the things that you did when you were really growing your business that helped you get to where you are today? Who wants to start with that? Megan? Okay. You're the youngest, so you should be. Deb and I got to think a little harder.
When I first started, I researched a ton of everything that was active for sale so that when a buyer or a seller would call me, I could pretend like I knew what I was talking about because I had really prepared for each listing appointment or each buyer appointment. So I researched if they were interested in this house. I researched all the houses that have sold around it. I previewed all of those houses so that I could really be, in the know of what's going on in that area or that for that listing or buyer appointment. I didn't know anything about any other subdivision, but I really knew that house and what was around that area. That was one of the major things I did. Another thing was I met with a ton of people. So I met with all my friends, all my family, my hairdresser, my title person, other business owners in the area. And I basically was a sponge for the first couple of years in, seeing what other people did to be successful. And then also with the same breath telling them I'm in real estate. So it's a numbers game. The more people you get in front of, the more people, are going to know that you're in real estate. Therefore, hopefully use you or be a market expert. So those are the couple of things that I did when I first started.
Ryan.
I would say for me it was just when I started out, I was on Sally Elliott and JD's team. And so I had the mentoring from them, which was good. And I surrounded myself with other mentors, talked to other agents in the office. Wasn't afraid to talk about like some difficulties or challenges that we're going through, like those transactions or different things like that, but just trying to get advice on how to handle those things, how to word things. And then I would say the other thing was after I'd been in the business a couple of years, it was like, okay, I'm consistently doing like 5-6 million, but I wanted to do more. Like I wanted to do 10 million. I wanted to do a little bit more than that. And so it was like, what's the next step for me to get there? And that was hiring a coach for me. Like that's what helped me kind of lay that out and that plan and that goal and the next few years in the future.
So that helped put the system in place for you to stay focused and good. Yep. Deb.
I floundered, quite simply. I don't think my thing's working, which is fine. There. You'll be happier. I said I floundered. I really...
Do you hear Deb in the back?
Okay. I really did what a lot of these people did, what a lot of you are doing. I tried this, and I tried that, and I tried that. It wasn't until I hired a coach that I really figured out what I was doing and had some direction to my life. But if you're new and you're starting out, it's okay to flounder. It's okay to not know exactly what you're going to do. And that's kind of what I want to talk about when we get to that part, is finding who you can follow, who's the most like you. And there's nothing in the world wrong with doing it Scott Knutson's way. There's nothing in the world wrong with doing it Ellie Bain's way. You have to find a path and take that path. But it has to be your path. So
Deb, before we do dive into that, help me. You and Ryan both talked about it was that coach that really propelled you to that next level. What did the coach do specifically in the beginning that helped you really set on that path to success?
Accountability. I mean, we all sit in these things. We all sit in all kinds of seminars, and we hear something, and we go, I'm going to do that. And then a week later, we forgot what it was that we were going to do. A coach holds you accountable.
Is it because you pay him?
Probably. Yeah.
So, Deb, you still have a coach today?
I do.
And that's one of the things that I'm always amazed. Why do the most successful people in the world, why does Richard Branson, why does he hire Darren Hardy as a coach? Right? The most successful people in the world already know what to do for the most part. They know they got to get out of their comfort zone. They know they got to continue to embrace change. But that coach helps hold them accountable and get them back on the path that they want. So it's not surprising that Deb and top producers that have grown their business through a coach continue to have a coach. We had a mastermind group yesterday, and we had this exact conversation, and they were all going through their goals, and I'm like, every one of you can reach your goals. You all have a plan that can get you to where your goals are. The problem isn't, do you need more things to do? The problem is, do you have the discipline and the focus, right? And is there some accountability or system in place to help you get there? Quick question, yes?
Just want to know how to hire a coach.
How to hire a coach? I'll give you my opinion, and Deb probably is better at this than I am, or Ryan, since you've did it more recently. But if someone comes to me, I tell them, it kind of goes back to what Deb says. You got to understand your personality and the way you want to do things, because every coach is going to approach it differently, right? We've got Mike Ferry people in here. We've got Tom Ferry people in here. We have Brian Buffini people in here. We have Debbie DeGroat people in here. I would recommend you go interview 2 or 3 different coaching systems, and then pick the one that you feel is going to best be aligned with your personality that's going to help you get there. I would not just go to one. I would go to a minimum of 2 or 3 and fill that system out. Does anyone else have an input on that?
I'm just going to say, for me, it was Prudential at the time. Go to convention, and you can usually hear 2 or 3 at that convention. That's where I met Mike.
Yeah, Mike Ferry's been there, Tom Ferry's been there, Buffini's been there, so I agree. That's a great place to start filling out who's best for you. Deb, go ahead then. Let's dive into what were your top takeaways when you were talking to Heather's class that you really what message were you really wanting to get across to the audience?
I think what Steve Harvey just said was the main point that I was trying to get through. I'm a cheapskate, so other than paying for my coach, I don't like to pay for the
Well, we
different
have
ways
5
to do
closets of
business.
clothes. You need money for that.
That does get pricey. But I think what you have to do is what I just said, what Steve Harvey said. You have to find something. You can't just do client parties. I think you should do client parties, but you can't just do client parties. But figure out where your path is. You can't just do Zillow, although some people are pretty successful at that. I guess maybe you can just do Zillow. But figure out what you want to do. But the main thing is what he said here. Just do it. I have so many people, my husband always calls it paralysis by analysis. They're spending all their time figuring out exactly what they're going to do before they do it. You know what? Jump off the cliff. If that wasn't the right cliff to jump off of, you can climb back up and jump off another cliff. But just standing on that cliff, figuring out everything you have to do and writing things down, those of you that are in my class know, I get so frustrated with people that just say, well, I haven't learned all of this yet, so I can't do it. Just do it, no matter what it is. Do it Scott's way, do it Sandy's way, do it Dave's way, but do it. Just do something, and that's really what I was trying to say. There isn't a wrong way to do this.
Yeah, and I think I was sharing in our class with us that when I was first getting started, and I was on JD's team, Megan's office was by my office, and so we'd always talk and stuff and be working on things, and I would come home and my wife would joke and she'd be like, "Why don't you just go sell real estate like Megan Owens?" And I'm like, okay. There's two different, I think what you have to come to understand, and that's the discussion that my wife and I had, was it's easy to, yes, it's easy to look at what other agents are doing and their success and all the different things in life. But when I was talking to my wife, I said, listen, I can go do what Megan Owens is doing, and I can go do 30 million if you want me to, but I won't be home. I won't be around you. I won't be at the kids' events. I won't be doing all these other things. I can go do that.
So she said, go.
If you want. Yeah. And I think through that discussion.
That sounds like the best thing I've heard in years, honey.
I think through that discussion, it made me realize that everybody's definition of success is different, right? So Megan has a different definition of success, and she has different motivations, and she has different things that she wants to achieve and wants to do and wants places to go. And once I realized that, it helped me kind of lay out those goals for myself and our family and things like that, to be this is what our definition of success is going to look like, and this is what we're going to go after. And with that, I was sharing in the group is I unfriend all of you realtors. I'm sorry if you ask to be my friend. I'm still friends with you, but I unfollow all the realtors, because I don't want to see what everybody else is doing and what their accolades are and what their successes are. And because for me, seeing some of those things sometimes will get you depressed or be oh, that sucks. They just did that. We need to step up our game. When it's no, we're having a really good year. We don't need to compare ourselves to what the other teams are doing or what somebody else is doing. So for me, I tried to simplify the voices and the things that I were going to allow to speak into my life and speak into our team and our business and the direction and the goals where we're going, and eliminate the things that were distracting me from achieving some of those things.
I want to piggyback on that, and there's been a couple of crazy productive people over the years that always would compare themselves to other people. And they're oh my God, look at how much Deb's doing. Oh God, look how much someone else is doing. And the truth is, it doesn't matter what anyone else. If someone else is doing better than you, God bless them. If someone else is doing worse than you, that's their issue. Your competition is you. And the only thing you got to do is look in the mirror and figure out where you want to go. And so this is really true, that you've got to figure out what you want to accomplish, what's your goals, what's your why in this process, right? and then you need to go do it. But when you'll drive yourself crazy comparing yourself to other people all the time. That's just counterproductive. So I cannot agree with that more.
Can I just say something? And know too that your life is not always going to be on an upward path. There will be years when other things take priority in your life, and sometimes it takes a while to come back and get back on track. That's okay.
Yeah, be at peace with
If you're
yourself.
living a great life, I said, I am so proud of him. He is young and he's already learned an important lesson in life. That your success has to be your success, not what is Megan's success or my success, Carrie's success.
Megan, what was your kind of biggest takeaway? And you really do, and I know this for a fact because I'll see you in here on Saturday mornings, I'll see you here in evenings. You love what you're doing. I mean, like, it's crazy your passion. When Steve Harvey talks about do what you love, I mean, you really do love it, and you really believe in the relationship building business, and that just makes you really happy. So talk about what was the biggest message that you were really trying to get across to the audience. And
along with what they said or whatever, being authentic and being who you are, but also determining your why. Why are we in this business and why are we working so hard and, what are we doing it for? And you can have goals and you can have, I want to hit so many units and so many millions, which I'm a freak about my goals and I want to hit, my goals. But my bigger thing is my why. Why am I working so hard? And I think once you determine that, then you'll be at peace with yourself and, reach your goals and kind of figure out, and be passionate about what you're doing because you have your why and that's why you're doing it, which therefore makes a positive day and just really being passionate about what you're doing.
Ryan, you talk about, yes, Joe.
So Megan, with you talking about your why, one of the things when I'm doing my bikini classes, we do dream boards, and we talk about that. Do you guys, a lot of people take a why and they think, oh, I want a car, I want a house, I want to take this trip. But you guys have a deeper why, because I find that a lot of the shiny object whys are fleeting and they don't last, and that's people don't, but the people that say, I want to give to this charitable thing, I want to work towards, cleaning up the oceans, I want to do this and this, and I want to dedicate part of my business to that. It seems like a deeper thing. You guys have that? Or
If you're going to answer, can you repeat the question for the people outside?
So Joe was asking, like, what is a deeper why? Like, do you guys have more things that you want to do other than, like, the shiny objects and the things to go after? And I know for me, like, and I try to explain this to my team, is, like, you've got to have something greater than just you, right? Like, you've got to have something greater than just you and what your why is. But I say, what's your us why and what's your them why? Our us is, like, our family and our why, right? And then the them is, like, the charities that you were mentioning, or the things that, like, what are the other things that I would like to give to that I can't right now, right? And so, like, it starts with like that small why of, like, why am I coming to work every day and why am I doing this thing? And, you start laying out those things of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if I don't like what I'm doing, then you should probably go find a different thing to enjoy what you're doing, passionate about. But then you have to think bigger picture, right? So, like, what's the us why? Like, what's our family and why am I doing this for our family? And then what's the bigger them why? Like, what does that look like? And who are those people that I would like to help out financially or maybe go serve or do whatever? But I don't know if that answers the question for you guys. But
go ahead, Deb.
I think what you said, Joe, is I do think objects are fleeting, but for some of us, those are the little steps that get you there. I think the big question that I always try to ask myself is, am I happier today? Is my family better off today than we were a year ago, than we were 2 years ago? Sometimes you say, no, this is tough. And that's okay. But for the most part, your life should be moving in a positive direction. And think about where you were a couple years ago. Are you in a better place today? And always work towards that goal. And by you, I don't mean you as a person, but it could be you as a family, you as a group, you as a company. Whatever that is, are we better off today? And I think most of us, at least us old-timers here, we look at what this company was, and we thought it was fine and fun when there were 9 or 10 or 12 of us, but this is a whole different ballgame. And that's the exciting thing about goals, is is it better today? And I think most of us would say, yeah.
Megan, anything you want to add to that? Perfect. Leave me alone. I want to get back to prospecting, baby. Ryan, you talk a lot about, I think, in your class about systems, right, and putting those in place. Can you kind of talk about the importance of systems and what systems are you utilizing that's helping you stay on track?
Yeah, so obviously the biggest system, the foundation that I think everybody needs to have is a CRM or a spreadsheet for some people. Whatever, but again, it goes to like, you need to have some way of organizing and keeping track of like who those people are that you're connecting with. And you're, like Megan was talking about, going out and meeting with every single person that she could potentially think of. Well, when you're meeting with that many people, how do you remember the conversations, the things that you talked about, the time frames, like all that kind of stuff? If you're not keeping track of that, I don't see how you can be successful. And quite frankly, they're going to be the ones that you hear about that went and bought a house with somebody else, and you're like, what the heck? I thought we were, that was the person that I was going to work with and whatever, but you didn't stay in touch with them. You didn't follow up with them. You didn't. So there's an importance of just, I think, building like a relationship with everybody and staying in that relationship and in contact with them and the follow-up and all those things. So I always share with my students when I'm coaching them, and my coach holds me accountable to this too, that like there should be 3 things that you're doing every single day as it relates to that. Your first thing is you're prospecting an hour a day. You're following up an hour a day. So you're following up with all those people where you've created tasks to follow up with that person that day or the next day on whatever issue, item that might be. And then the third one is you're networking an hour a day. And that's basically talking to other people that have, for me is doing a lot of stuff where I'm talking to other people that have other small businesses or things like that to be like, how can we partner? How can I come alongside you and help you in your business and advertise for you or market with you? And I think if you're doing those 3 things every day, you can honestly go home at night and be like, I actually did something today, as opposed to being at the office 8 hours and being like, well, I was there 8 hours, but what did I do? Like, if you did those 3 things, you can't fail in the business. You really can't.
Networking really is a form of prospecting. So you're really, 2 of your 3 buckets really are business growth, prospecting type of activities, right?
Yep.
Megan, the number of transactions you do, we can all poke fun at you of having a piece of paper and you're looking at it, but you are insanely systematic in understanding every component of what's going on in your business. How do you do that?
I think there's 2 key factors. I'm insanely organized. I'm OCD crazy. But I think definitely the, your sphere of influence, making sure that you have that all organized so that you're staying in touch with those people. But I think the second thing is staying in tune with what your under contracts are doing and what your sellers are doing, and making sure that you are touching base with those people on a weekly basis or a couple times a week. So I have a spreadsheet. It's just an Excel spreadsheet because I'm cheap and I don't want to pay for a CRM. But it's literally everything that I've forgotten over the past 10 years of real estate. Like, did I order the warranty? Did I do this? Did I contact my buyer or my seller? So not only is your sphere of influence important, but I think creating an experience with your under contract people that you have is almost just as important as staying in touch with your past clients, because if you do a superb job and create that experience, they're going to send you referrals and they're going to remember you. So I think with whatever organizational system that you have, be insanely disciplined. I look at mine twice a day, once in the morning and once at night, and I check it every single day, and I don't go to sleep until I have gone through all of those files and have made sure that everything's on track to create a good experience and make sure it closes on time.
Isn't that really at the heart of what we've been really trying to preach this year, is that we need to make this a simple, easy, stress-free transaction for our clients throughout the process. We've got to remove that stress. And we've heard tons of people have been using Kevin's trucks. That's just one little thing. But there's so many things that you guys can do to make this a stress-free transaction for people. And so she's put, and she does, you have a spreadsheet of like 3 pages of all these check marks to make sure you're doing things, to not let them be worrying about what they don't know. Because buyers and sellers don't buy and sell houses every day or every year, right? In fact, it's went from 6 years to 10 years. They're only on average buying a house or selling a house every 10 years now. So we need to walk them through that. We need to communicate with them on a regular basis. Deb, you've put systems in place to communicate with clients to make this as seamless as a process as possible. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, you have to. Last night I went out on a listing appointment with Fred Tischauer. And we were at the listing appointment. We got so excited. We got the listing. We were so excited. We both walked out of the house. Kelly was with us. We both all three of us walked out of the house. He called me like 3 minutes later. He goes, "Do you realize we forgot to get a key? We didn't tell them we have to measure the house. We didn't talk to them about the photograph.
But we got a 10% commission."
We got the full commission. But you do, if you don't have those systems in place. I mean, how did we do that? We've been selling real estate for all these years. I go, oh yeah, we didn't talk about any of those things. Because we didn't have our little checklist because we're not used to working together on something. So it was really kind of an interesting thing. So what Megan says, if we could all be just a little bit like Megan, we'd be better off. And I want to say one other thing. I promised Ralph I'd give a shout out to him. This is real important, Ralph. Find someone in the business. Ralph and I have been friends for 32 years. Find someone in this business who you can go to, who you can bounce things off of. Sometimes they'll be way far ahead of you, sometimes they'll be behind you, but you've got to have those people in the business that you can count on. I know Ralph will tell me the truth. You really messed up on that one. You got to have those people in your life. So find someone in this company, and 30 years later, I mean, we weren't even at the same company for probably 25 of those years, but have those kind of people in your life.
Marie Otis, and she's a great person. I don't want to send 300 people to go talk to her, but she's a great person at time management. We're actually going to even have her start doing some classes for us. And she said, first, if you haven't had the opportunity to take Heather's class, you should. Whether you're new in the business or a seasoned agent, it has great content and fun atmosphere. Heather does a fabulous job, so that's her spell it to them. But she has this EECCC talking about time blocking, and she says that everyone should watch the YouTube video. Let's go ahead and send this out. Is Brooke in here, or is she downstairs setting up? Can we write this down? Yeah. Send out. She says, watch the YouTube video, 7 Big Rocks, the productivity system. And so I don't know if this is where this EECCC comes from, but E is 3C system, personal operating system. The second E is know your energy. That's when you're the most productive. Use that time wisely. C is capture. Write everything down in one place. This next C is calendar. Schedule everything. Do not work from a to-do list. You're in trouble. And I'm going to reference back to this. And the last one is concentrate. Use the I don't have no word what this. I have no idea what that word is. What's that word?
No idea.
Okay. Use some sort of method. The POMODORO method. 25 minutes. What is it? I don't know. It's above my pay level. 25 minutes of concentrated effort with no distractions, followed by 5-minute breaks. And then real quick, time blocking. Everything important to you. Do everything. Do important things in the morning. Use your best energy time for tasks that need extra attention. We all have high energy times. Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's in the afternoon. It depends on your personality. But the things that are most important, that's a really good point. I've heard that years ago from a guy on a plane. Figure out your high energy time and the things that are most important to you during that day. Do those during those high energy times because you're going to be most effective and it's going to yield you the greatest result. But talk about that because she's crazy systematic. I have to have Google Calendar. I've got to put it in my calendar. If I have a to-do list, I do what so many of us do is it's so easy for me to put things off. But if it's in my calendar, I'll do it. I'll get it done and I'll go to the next thing. But if it's not in my calendar, if it's on a to-do list, we go, I'll procrastinate and I'll put, that can be done next week or whenever, and it goes on and on. You're different. You do a 25-25. You do this system of 25 note cards a week, 25 handwritten notes a week, 25 calls a week, 25 email or text a week. And you're disciplined enough to really have that on a to-do list. Can you talk about your system? And because it's really different than what most of us preach, but it takes an insane discipline. How do you hold yourself accountable? There's something internally in that process?
I'm a little bit crazy, but I don't know. It's just internal. I just have discipline. If I don't have it done on Friday night, I won't go out on Friday night. I'll make sure that I do all the things that I'm supposed to do, and that's how I grew up, and that's how, I've always been. So I do my to-do list, and I like checking it off, and I like highlighting what I still need to do.
It's became a habit for you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just like my to-do list.
Go ahead, Deb.
It's called integrity. Do what you said you're going to do. If you can't do 5, 5, 5, and 5, do 1, 1, 1, and 1. Do something that you can do, but if you say you're going to do it, do it.
One last question, then I'm going to let you guys all wrap up with any thoughts that you have. One of the things that we see in this business is that as we get really busy, right? We prospect, and then all of a sudden we have a lot of business going on at a given time. The very first thing that tends to suffer is the prospecting that got us the business. What do each one of you do to make sure that that bucket continues to get filled on a regular basis? That when you get really busy, it's easy to say, well, I'm going to put off things. And one of the things Marie said, don't schedule over things, right? If you're going to change something, you reschedule it right there. You don't take it off the schedule and get rid of it. If it's important enough to put on the schedule, it needs to be done. So don't be moving things around all the time. Someone says, I gotta go see a house right now, and that next hour is your prospecting. Well, you're tied up until 10:30. At 10:30, you can go show that house. Guess what? They're gonna still be there at 10:30, 99% of the time, guys. So Deb, start with you, and let's run down here. But when you get really busy, what do you do to make sure that you continue to prospect?
I mess up a lot. I'm just like all of you, but I still say I have to make 20 calls every day, and there are tally marks on my yellow tablet that says.
And so you just don't go home until it's done?
No.
Because you know that's that important to you keeping that pipeline full.
And somebody said this to me last week, and I thought it was the best thing I've heard. You may have said it to me last week at that conference we were at. Don't say, I'll just make it up tomorrow. Because we never make it up tomorrow.
Right. Ryan?
I think one of the biggest things that actually my coach challenged me with this last year, and what I'm implementing a lot more now, is understanding that there's a difference between working in the business and working on the business. Like, I think so much we get caught up in the whirlwind of everything that's happening and going on, especially when we get busy, and we're so focused on like trying to keep a deal together and trying to do all these other things in the business, right? And then we fail to remember, what am I doing to work on my business? What am I doing to try to grow this business? So if you're not setting time aside, for me, like this next year, like as I grow my team and as I do things, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday for me is working in the business. Tuesday, Thursdays are going to be working on my business. So if somebody wants to go see a house on Tuesday or Thursday, if I'm not done with my on-business stuff, I'm going to move that to the next day, or I'm going to pass that off to somebody on my team to go show that house, because that's important to me in the growth of my business to get to where I want to go.
Guys, that's an important point. I see Tasha sitting out there. I know Ralph's sitting over here. I can guarantee you none of these people become crazy successful unless they have assistants, right? Full-time assistants doing all this admin, non-revenue generating, non-productive stuff, because you're not going to have enough time to get to where you need to go unless you have that. And all of you have?
And speaking of that, I have to be somewhere at 10.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I'll listen to you as we're going out.
All right.
I love
Wrap us up. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Let's give Deb a hand.
I think it's super important to be organized with your under contracts, because if you're checking on those every single day, I check on mine for 2 hours, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. You have the whole rest of the day to put out fires, to prospect, to go to a coffee, to go to a lunch or whatever. But if you're constantly running around with your head chopped off on, all these under contracts that you have, you're always going to run out of time. So if you're just religious in making sure that for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour at night, I'm going to focus on my current under contract stuff or my sellers or whatever, then you have the whole rest of the day to be prospecting or going and doing the fun stuff that most of us like doing, which is interacting with other people, building relationships.
I think another thing to add on to that is I took my team to the Jared James Advance like this last year, and Jared said, a lot of us get caught up in this myth or this lie that like you only have 24 hours in a day, and he's like, I actually have 1,000, because basically what I do is I figure out where do I need to have more time spent in getting things done, and then I hire those people on. And so my hours go from 24 to 1,000 every day because I have all these people that are doing the things that need to get done in order to make the business work. Now that might not be for all of us in here, but if you're one of those people that are sitting here going like, I just have so much crap to get done and I don't have enough time to get all these things, maybe it's time to hire somebody on to help with that stuff. And so I just wanted to add that because I think that's important to think about too, is as you're growing your business and as you are running a business. So if you're a real estate agent, you have a business and you're running it. So if there's things that you need to do to get done on a daily basis, then you need to hire those people to help get those things done.
Last thought is be a long-term thinker. I'll get your question. Be a long-term thinker, right? Don't ever save yourself time or money today that's going to cost you in the future. To this point, every one of you may be running a business of 1, you may be running a business of 25, but you are running a business. It drives me crazy. No successful person says, I'm going to save $100 today, knowing it's going to cost them $1,000 next year, right? You're not going to save 5 hours today, knowing it's going to cost you 50 hours later. That's crazy, but we tend to do that all the time. Yes, there was a question back there.
Wondering what Ryan's CRM is.
What's your CRM?
So I use a CRM called Jarger Media. It's actually a CRM that Jared James created, who is my coach and the coaching company I work for. But he basically like went around to these third-party CRMs, and none of them wanted to create or do what he wanted those things to do. He's a previous real estate agent, so he spent millions of dollars himself to go get this developed and created, and that's what I use.
So guys, first of all, let's give these guys a big hand. We're after 10, so I'm going to wrap up. We've sent out emails. Please, please, please. Thursday, December 5th is the company Christmas party. It's on the Facebook page. Brooke said we'll send another email out for me today. Whether you're going or not going, go in there and just plug in so we're not continuing to try to bug you and track you down to find out what we need for head count. But go onto the Facebook page, look at the emails, answer that. And then we've got lunch obviously here today starting at 11:30. Please, love to have you there. That's a great time to get together. As my good friend Mark Rigattuso always says, attitude without gratitude is no attitude at all. And this is really a time of year to be thankful for so much that we have. And it's not, as Joe said earlier, about the shiny things. It's about the family, the relationships, and all those other things that are really important to us. As Ryan said, it's beyond us. It's just not just us. It's our family, it's our friends, and it's others to be grateful for. So let's celebrate together. And then the last thing is we are bringing Berkshire Hathaway back in here for 3 2-hour sessions on December 12th. We could tweak these, but I believe the hours are going to probably be 9 to 11, 12:30 to 2:30, and 3 to 5. So we'll have 3 2-hour sessions for you to come in. They're going to do an overview of the Resource Center. I would like you to have been in there and looked at it prior to that point in time. They are going to dive into the Riz Media social media platform. They're going to dive into the new Sage Salesforce CRM platform that has now the mobile app on it. And there's one more thing they're going to dive into, and I cannot remember, and Christy's not here to remind me. So that we will get schedules out for that to have you sign up for 2-hour blocks of that. But December 12th, please show up there. We pay royalty fees for these guys to come in and teach us things. We have an obscene number of tools to utilize. Let's utilize the ones that match our personality and what we want to accomplish in our business to continue to grow our business. Guys, I appreciate you. I know we don't have a sales meeting here for another couple weeks. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope to see you at lunch today. Take care.